What's up everybody, Cakes here, and today I'm going to talk about the Path of Diablo mod for Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction. If you're watching this video, you're probably considering playing Path of Diablo, or at the very least wondering what it is and whether or not it's worth your time. If you like the video or are looking for more Path of Diablo content, please like and subscribe and leave me a comment down below. I started playing Diablo 2 in the early months of the year 2000 in patch 1.05. This was about a year and a half before Lord of Destruction came out, and like most people who have experienced Diablo 2, I instantly fell in love with the game. I played the game religiously through patch 1.11 and have played off and on since then. Here we are in the year 2020, and Diablo 2 is on a very far back burner for Blizzard. There has been no recent patches. The vast majority of the player base is comprised of bots, and about all they do for the game anymore is reset the ladder once every 6 months. If you're like me, you'll start up again, gear up a character or two, do some magic finding, maybe do a little bit of PvP, and then lose interest. Here I'm on my second ladder season in Path of Diablo, and I'm here to give you some insight on why Path of Diablo is at the very least worth a try. So what exactly is Path of Diablo? Path of Diablo is a mod for Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction and is intended to be an online server experience, and as such this video will go over Path of Diablo versus Diablo 2 on Battle.net. The mod offers several large changes, as well as some quality of life changes and some smaller nuances that make it very enjoyable, yet it still has the look and feel of good old Diablo 2. It breathes a little bit of new life into a game that many consider to be one of the best ARPGs ever made. The mod itself is made up of all the original Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction content. You still have all the same classes, you still start in Act 1 normal and quest all the way through Act 5 Hell. There's still rune words, crafting recipes, Ubers, and all of your favorite uniques to farm. One of the biggest draws for me is the Path of Diablo community. Over the last week, at the time of this recording, there has been more than 25,000 active players, and there's usually anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 players online at any given point in time. There's a very active Discord, and the official site has a wiki full of great resources, a dedicated trading website, and an armory. Another thing about the mod is that gets a lot of brownie points from me is that the entire community plays legit. There's no bots, no map hack, no duped items, and no auto looters. It is very actively moderated, and they do a really good job of keeping any third-party programs or hacks out of the game. Alright, so let's get into some of the changes. One of the first things you'll probably notice is that the skill trees and inventory look a bit different than your vanilla Diablo 2. Some skills have been rebalanced or reworked, and there are several skills that are completely new. This creates much more build diversity, and each class has multiple builds that function extremely well at endgame. As for the inventory, it is over double the size of the vanilla inventory, and it has a dedicated area for charms. This means you can have your Annihilus, Torch, 9 Skillers, and 10 Small Charms, but you still have room for Tomes of Town Portal, IDs, keys, and plenty of room to pick stuff up that drops. Path of Diablo also offers some extra endgame content that is not in the original Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction. Namely, maps, Orbs of Corruption, and the Diablo clone fight. The Diablo clone is accessed with a cube recipe involving organ sets and keys, and it makes it so you can farm your Annihilus and no more selling Sojas. You don't have to find the right server and hope that you can get a Diablo clone to spawn. The fight itself is redesigned, it's in its own instance, and is significantly more challenging than Diablo clone on vanilla Diablo 2. It's actually the hardest fight in the game, much harder than even Uber Tristram is. The other big piece of endgame content introduced in Path of Diablo would be maps. Maps are similar to a rift from Diablo 3. You farm up map relics that drop from endgame content, such as Chaos Sanctuary, Hell Cows, and Bale, and you then put them in an altar behind Mala in Act 5 Hell, and they open a red portal to an instance that has an extremely high density of mobs that range from level 86 to 90, depending on the tier of the relic that you use. The map relics themselves have random modifiers. Every map relic has bonus experience gained, bonus mob density, and then random modifiers that affect the mobs inside the map itself. Some of the modifiers can actually be pretty horrendous. You can get maps that give the mobs chance to decrepify, as well as 50% slow if you're within a certain range of them. They can have piercing attacks, leech, bonus damage, can't be frozen, and a whole lot of other nasty stuff that makes the content itself extremely challenging. One of my favorite mechanics introduced in Path of Diablo is called Orbs of Corruption. An Orb of Corruption is an item that drops randomly off of any mob in the game. You can get them as early as normal mode. The higher the difficulty, the higher the chance that they will drop. And what they do is you put them in your cube with an item. Guidelines are that the item cannot be ethereal, it cannot have sockets, and it cannot be white. But you can do magic items, unique, set items, rares. And when you cube them, it has a 1 in 4 chance of doing something specific. Items that can have sockets can roll up to max sockets for that item. So you can get 4 sockets in a Tal Rasha's armor, or 6 sockets on a Cranium Basher, or there's the chance that there will be no change. They call that CNC, or corrupted no change. You can only corrupt an item one time, so if there's no change, then that's all there is to it. There's also the chance that you will get some random stat. You can get +1 to all skills on Maras or amulets. You can get a faster cast rate on rings, all resistances, deadly strike, stuff like that. Or there is also the dreaded brick. And what a brick is you've got a 25% chance that the item gets turned into a random rare. So if you're willing to roll the dice on that perfect Death's Fathom that you just found in your Chaos run, you could end up with 3 open sockets for some cold facets and make it just an absolutely beast of a cold weapon, or it can turn into yellow vendor fodder. As for the quality of life changes and smaller nuances that are introduced in Path of Diablo, well, there's quite a few of them. In the interest of keeping this video a halfway decent length, I'll just go over some of my favorites. In Path of Diablo, there is effectively, whether you have 1 person or 8 people in the game, it always has player 8 drops. So everything that you kill drops something. Bosses and champions and unique packs will always drop 5 items, and I would highly recommend opening every chest that you find. In addition to more drops, they changed the way that rune drops work. In vanilla Diablo 2, rune drops decrease exponentially as you get into the high runes, whereas in Path of Diablo they decrease at a linear rate. So between everything dropping something and linear decay, high runes are much easier to come by. Every account can have up to 18 characters on it. Between that and having an increased inventory size, you don't have to have 15 different accounts for all of your mules. And games perm in 30 seconds, so if you're self-muling, you don't have to wait for 3 minutes to make sure that it's safe to drop your items and still be able to rejoin the game. There's no such thing as a realm down in Path of Diablo. It is a Mephisto runner's paradise. You can do 45-second Mephisto runs all day long if you want to, and never have to worry about realm down. There's a couple indoor map areas that have been shortened. One that everybody notices is Maggot Lair only has 2 levels now. So the absolute worst place in the entire game, now it's only 2 levels instead of 3. You never lose your ability to make the cow level. Cows are still a thing in Path of Diablo. They're One of the best places in the game to farm high runes as well as rune word bases, and do pretty well for just magic finding in general. So if you're back from 1.08 era and are nostalgic about cows, that's one thing that you'll probably really like about Path of Diablo. There's a game timer to help keep track of your run times if you're into that sort of thing. I am. I like to see how long it takes me to do my Mephisto runs or cow runs or Bale or whatever it is that I'm running at the time. There's a global chat that you can join. It's completely optional, but you can see it from in the lobby or in the games, as well as on the Discord. You can join in on the chat from anywhere. Repair costs on superior items has been significantly reduced. You'll not have million gold repairs when your superior Archon Plate Enigma is missing 3 durability. Arrows and bolts now function similar to a quiver from Diablo 3. They are equipable, they have stats, and you don't actually use arrows or bolts, so you don't have to worry about running out of arrows halfway through your cow run. And last but not least would be loot filters. Since everything has a 100% chance of dropping an item, the screen can get filled up really quick. Loot filters are designed to get rid of all of the crap that you never pick up, like cracked stuff and random potions that are way lower level than what you want, flawed and normal gems. There's a lot of good loot filters built by the community that just show you good rune word bases, unique items, set items. A lot of them will draw a lot of attention to high runes, as well as the GG uniques like Storm Shield or Death's Fathom, the uniques that you get really excited over when you see that they drop. They also draw out a lot of attention to unique rings, facets, things like that. So I hope that this helps to give some insight into Path of Diablo and encourages you to give it a try. For more Path of Diablo content, please like and subscribe. Let me know your opinions in the comments. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. There's a link to the Path of Diablo website that you can download the mod, and it gives you instructions on how to install it in the description below. As always, good luck, have fun, and I hope to see you around.